My name's Tyler Byrne. This is Lo-Fi Lit. I interview authors, poets, and publishers. Today, I'm talking to Brian Allen Carr. He is writing and works for the Zona Motel, and it's over on Substack that you should go subscribe to. Let's go to the show. I don't like intros. So you're going to be reading with Naomi and some other people at AWP, right?
Yeah, the class reading's on Saturday, I think, Saturday night. I think there's about 10 of us, David Simmons, Kyle Curry, some others. But yeah.
Is it the same time as the Zona one?
Yeah, but I'm not reading at Zona. Zona's having something else earlier, too, at like 3. And we were having a reading with Scott and Laura Albert, I think, and some other people. They're both at 7. I think ours was supposed to be at 9, the Clash one, but then venue changed, and it got bumped up to 7. So yeah, we'll be competing Clash versus Zona. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. How'd you get involved with Zona?
Juliet asked. She and Misha had come through Indianapolis when their last books had come out. Ray and what's the Snakes book of Juliet?
Oh shit, the Perfect Snake. I forget. Twin Snakes?
Huh?
Twin Snakes?
No, I have it. It's got snakes in the title. You Are the Snake.
Yeah.
They had come through and done a reading in Indianapolis, and we had hung out. And then shortly after that, I think they came up with the idea to do that. And they asked me if I wanted to be a part. I said, sure.
Is that the first time you met them?
No, in person, no. I'd met Juliet before at an AWP a long time ago, maybe shortly after she got married to Scott McClanahan. But briefly, it was in LA. But I'd known her for a long time. But I'd only met her in person one other time.
So it was like 2014?
That sounds about right. Something like that.
So I see on your shirt it says Metropolis Cycles. Are you a cyclist?
No, I bought this at Goodwill. I mean, I can ride a bicycle, but
yeah, you've never raced?
No.
Oh, you look like a racer.
Thanks. I'll tell my wife you said so. No, I never raced anything. I was actually with a buddy today who's a race car driver.
Oh, really?
Racers are different, man. They're intense.
Yeah. Did you do any sports growing up?
I played football till 8th grade, and then I broke my ankle real bad. Had kind of a bad experience with the coaches after that. And then, I was active and stuff, but I didn't play. We had moved between 8th and 9th grade. So I probably would have played football if I had stayed in the same place. But just because I enjoyed it, it was all right. I didn't love it, but it was something to do. But then we moved, and I didn't feel like meeting a whole – I guess I should have. It would have been a quick way. But I also wasn't much of a jock. You know what I mean? I hung out with some of them, but it wasn't my disposition.
So what happened with the coaches?
Just one of them was rude to me after I broke my ankle. It was kind of lame. It's like one of my coaches had told me, I could either go out to the football field and sit around, or I could, because I had a broken ankle, I couldn't do anything. My foot had gotten twisted all the way around, and they had to screw it back together. Ugh. Or it was or if you want, you can hang out in the weight room and, lift, and I was like, well, cool. I'll go to the weight room and just lift, better than just sitting on the bleachers. And I was in there, and one of these other coaches came in and was yelling at me about not supporting my team. I was like, bro, this is a directive. You know what I mean? My coach gave me the option. I just twisted my foot around for you guys. And I remember just being like, I don't know, fuck y'all. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of authority in any of that. I'm kind of anti-authoritarian by nature. And so I didn't necessarily want to. Plus, it was a pretty bad break, and it wasn't like I was going to play college ball or something, you know what I mean? I couldn't walk for I couldn't walk well for about 6 weeks. so I was just laying around. I didn't want to go through that again. Not like I was scared of it per se, but it was just an inconvenience.
Yeah.
And I played a little baseball for fun, but wasn't, I was an okay batter, not a very good fielder. Was never particularly great at basketball. But we always we played racquetball a lot in high school. There was a university near where we lived. And we all had fake university IDs, and we'd go play a bunch of racquetball. And then I grew up on the beach too, so we would, because I was on the Texas coast, so I did a lot of hunting and fishing and stuff like that.
Did you get any concussions?
Not that I know of. I mean, I got knocked silly a little bit, but I was never like diagnosed with one. But anymore, they say if your bell was ever rung, right? Like if you ever saw stars, you were probably concussed. So probably.
Were you reading at this time and like into literature and shit?
Yeah.
What were you reading?
In middle school, I was really into a series called Xanth by Piers Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of random books. What was I kind of into? I read it in middle school, Abby Hoffman's Steal This Book. Trying to think, some of that's pretty vague and fuzzy, you know what I mean? There was a book I really loved called Durango Street. Can't remember who wrote it, but I mean, I was reading, but not like hyper voraciously. Probably, I don't know, 10 books a year or something like that. And then in high school, I started reading considerably more.
What got you to read more?
Drugs. So back in the day, we didn't have the internet. So if you wanted to do drugs, you had to go to the library and like study them. You know what I mean? And so there was a series by Carlos Castaneda. The first book of it was called A Yaqui Way of Knowledge. But the whole thing was, and it was largely debunked later on, but he would go hang out with Native Americans and learn about the drugs that they would do. And then I played in bands, so I really liked band biographies and stuff. So there was one called No One Here Gets Out Alive about the Doors. And in that, there's like a big section toward the front about how much Jim Morrison would read and the books that he would read. So then I started kind of chasing those books a little bit. And then A Clockwork Orange was really big for me around freshman year. And then you would just kind of read these books and learn about other books.
What year are you going to high school?
I graduated in 97.
Okay.
So 94 was 93, 94 was my first year.
That first book you brought up, was that guy like a philosopher? He was like an academic, and then they found out he wasn't later on after his
Yeah, he was an academic, and I think he just maybe wasn't doing all the drugs. Like, I think there was a guy named Don Juan in A Yaqui Way of Knowledge. And Don Juan was like his, his introduction to most of these drugs. And I think, and I don't know this completely, but that Don Juan did not exist, and he was like a composite character.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I think a lot of the things that he wrote about were, purported as falsehoods. I don't know to what extent they were. That was like, I didn't hear that until probably several years after I quit reading those books, but there were several of them. And the deeper you got into the series, the more it dealt with things like dreams and stuff like that, and maybe not just doing peyote or whatever they were doing. Datura root was in there. And then, like I read The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, probably because of the movie The Doors. But, there was this kid we hung out with named Zad. And Zad was really into like hippie stuff. He worked at the nursery locally, and he would, eat morning glory seeds and crap like that. And it was kind of mixed in the music culture, you know what I mean? To like read these kind of, books about spirituality or drugs or whatever. And so anything kind of counterculture like that, I was just into. We didn't have the internet, you know what I mean? So you couldn't fucking waste any, you couldn't just like hunt stuff down super simply. You like literally had to read a whole ass book, you know what I mean, to like figure any of this stuff out.
So when you go to the library, is it your interest in drugs that drove you towards those books, or did you pick up one of those books first and then got into drugs?
I think the reading was there. you know what I mean? Because like I'd already been reading.
Mm-hmm.
And then I probably smoked weed for the first time between 8th and 9th grade.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean shit. Yeah, usually at that time, the people who would smoke weed they weren't like just straight burnouts. A lot of times they were like academic kids, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so there was just kind of literature and art was mixed into all that. But like I said, I mean, I'd already been reading, so it wasn't like oh, I smoked a joint, I'm gonna start reading books, but it seemed to go hand in hand. Even like, The Hobbit and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I read that as a kid, and it was like they'd be smoking stuff or eating mushrooms or whatever. At the very least, drinking. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It was always seemed kind of dovetailed in there. And then as you got older, you'd find the Beats or Hemingway, and there always seemed to be that mixed in.
Could you read while you were high? Because I find that I can't.
Yeah, I've gone through phases where I haven't been able to either. I quit smoking weed for a long time in my early 20s until like probably my mid 30s. I didn't like marijuana at all.
What brought you back?
Quit drinking.
Okay.
And so then I was like, well, I know myself, I have to have a vice. And so like I basically taught myself to like weed again. And so I don't smoke in any weed. Well, not any, but like I'll use edibles, though I don't generally just get blasted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's funny. For a while there, after I quit drinking, and I've been trying to quit drinking for about 10 years. I've been sober for a little over 2.5, or not drinking for over 2.5. I didn't read as much. I don't know. I feel like alcohol, because it has this weird thing where it kind of gives you delusions of grandeur, and it also makes things seem considerably more romantic. And so there for a while when I quit drinking, books didn't seem as cool to me for a while. Not that I wasn't reading at all, but not like I was, when I was drinking, I'd read 60, 70 books a year. Now I'm probably more like 40, 45. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Did you have a routine though?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no routine to anything I do. I'm pretty I just kind of whatever I feel like doing is kind of what I do. Yeah.
So like would you read in the morning and then drink in the afternoon?
No.
Sometimes
when I was drinking, I would drink all the time. Like all the time. But like I wasn't I don't know. Yeah, I never seem to have a I'm too drunk to read. Maybe at night, or whatever, I'm too drunk to read. But like, no, not really.
I never really drank that much early on, but just a few years ago, like 35, I started drinking more. It's hard to abstain from. Like there's times when I'm not drinking and I get this like urge, like I should go get a drink right now. I'm like, why do I feel like that? That's so fucking weird.
It's quick, man. It happens. I started drinking super young. Like by the time I was 15, I was getting drunk a couple times a week. So I don't know. I mean, it just seemed, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there is that. Hangovers are the worst. So I was like, I liked drinking, but I hated hangovers. And so which led to more drinking. Cause like, I think I was like 18 or 19. I was staying over at a buddy's house. We were supposed to go to church, but we'd gone out the night before. And his mom made us Bloody Marys. And I was like, oh, if you just drink again in the morning, it goes away. And so we had drinks, went to church, and I was like in a great mood. And I was like, oh, wish you hadn't taught me that cheat code.
Jeez, that was like she gave you. That's funny. I can see that. I can see a parent doing that.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up.
Especially in the South.
Yeah, and on the Texas coast, Corpus Christi, it was very much like alcohol was just part of everything you did. You would drink and go to the beach, and the way of life there. I mean, very typical to go to the grocery store with no shoes on type place. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, I think especially for her, a generation older than us. She had grown up in the 70s. They didn't frown upon that at all. My mom said that her dad would, drink and drive all the time, like all the time. And I don't even think it was illegal to drink and drive in Texas until I was like 12. Like you could have an open beer in your car as long as you weren't drunk. Yeah, I mean, we definitely changed our opinions of alcohol as a society for sure.
Yeah. So how was growing up in the 90s?
It was cool. Don't really have anything to compare it with. It was slower for sure. We kind of learned about the internet at school. Nobody had it really until 95, I don't think. And even then it was very slow. Like I learned to type on a typewriter.
Damn, dude. Even like I graduated in 08 and like we were still learning to type on like computers.
Yeah, no, I mean, and then everything was just slower. Like to get music, you'd have to go, and especially if you liked any kind of indie music, there was one kind of weird punk rock record shop in Corpus Christi called Splatter Punk, and you would go there, and half the time they would have what you wanted, but they'd order it for you, or you could order, albums off other CDs. Like in the back, they'd have a catalog from the record label, and you'd order it. And it might take a couple weeks to arrive. So everybody just had way less media. So and you had to be a little bit more organized too, because like let's say you had 50 CDs, you'd have to keep them in your book and not scratch them to shit, and keep up with them. A lot of freedom though. I mean, my parents never knew where I was, and it wasn't a big deal. They couldn't get a hold of me. I couldn't get a hold of them. So it was cool. I mean, there are plenty of downsides, I'm sure.
Were you a TV guy?
TV?
Yeah. Did you watch a lot of TV?
Not really.
Like the pop-up video.
Not really. There was a show on MTV that we really liked called 120 Minutes. There was another thing that we really liked called MTV Raps.
Okay.
But those only play at certain times of the day.
Were you a movie guy?
Movies, yes. I liked movies a lot. And we would go to the theater a lot. And you would go to the theater not even knowing what was playing and when, and you would just go check out a film.
What was your theater?
What was it? There were two that I'd go to. One was called Cine 6. And then the other one was attached to the mall. Can't remember what that one was called. There was a dollar theater that we'd go to, some that played, like whatever. But Corpus Christi also, too, was not a very culturally robust place. I mean, we had a half-price books. I still love half-price books a ton. But we didn't get that until I was in high school. We had a Barnes and Noble. But I don't remember any kind of like smaller bookstores or anything like that. It's a city that's maybe 300,000 now. It was like 220,000 when I lived there. We didn't have any professional sports teams. Didn't have I think our biggest tourist attraction was a battleship, that people would come and see. So mainly it was just a bunch of people hunting and fishing and beach life, you know what I mean? But it's not even a good beach either. It's like you can't surf it. Well, you can surf it, but it's nobody ever goes there to surf. You know what I'm saying? Like you only surf there if you grew up there surfing.
Were there any murders in that town?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty violent place. Not like a lot of gang violence, but just a lot of people doing drugs and killing people. Like, I mean, two of the guys I graduated with are murderers. Yeah, one of them hit a dude with his car and then took his car to get it fixed. He hit a guy.
That's nice of him.
Oh yeah, he hit a guy on the road, didn't stop and help him, took the car to the guy was walking, you know what I mean? And he hit him and it killed him. And then he took his car to an auto repair shop and to try to he had there was a manhunt for him and everything. And then another dude I knew, some dude hit his mom and he and his brother killed the guy. And they were straight cut kids, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corpus Christi's riddled with weirdos, man, for sure.
So okay, so after high school, you go straight to college.
No, not really. I was a pretty bad student in high school. I skipped a lot of class, but it's weird. Like I'd skip class and go to the library
Yeah.
and read books, or I'd skip school and go see movies a lot. And then I moved to Austin, but I didn't move there really to go to school. I just kind of moved there to hang out. Did some community college there. And then I was dating a girl who graduated and she got a job in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, which is on the Texas-Mexico border. And there was a school down there called University of Texas Pan American. So it was a satellite school of UT. And so I didn't really start going to school in earnest until we moved down there and I studied journalism.
So you were in Austin before like it became cool.
I was born in Austin and I lived there for a few years and I always wanted to go back. And so then, yeah, right. When I finished high school, I moved up and the late 90s, early 2000s. So I was there for Y2K and stuff. And, but no, yeah, it was very different then. And it happened really fast. It changed within like 10 years. It's very different now than it was when I lived there too. But yeah, it wasn't a hyper cool place to be. No, you're right. It was I mean it was the coolest city in Texas by a mile, but it didn't have the national recognition. South by Southwest helped a lot with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you think happened?
Well, culturally, South by Southwest. Richard Linklater had made that movie Slackers there, which
Oh
I think brought
yeah.
a lot of attention to the town. There were a few bands from there, and you will notice by the Trail of the Dead, Spoon was from there. Another band called Fastball that kind of got national reputations. But then the tech industry blew up. Dell had moved its headquarters to right outside Austin. And so a lot of people started coming to live there to work in the tech industry. And
Oh,
comparatively to like LA or New York, it was very cheap.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering why I was listening to the first few chapters of Opioid.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you set that like in the 90s?
Well, it's not fully about, it's not me, it's not my story, right?
Yeah.
And two, like I had taught high school up in Indiana for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
I was up here. I taught at a school called South Texas College in Texas, but my wife's from Indiana and she wanted to move home. And I had taken like a 1-year grant funded job at an engineering school here writing case studies. And that came to an end, that 1-year grant. And we had to kind of figure out what we were going to do. So I went and I got a high school job here because my family wanted to stay. I was like, well, I'll teach high school for a year. I'll figure something else out. Time wise, it worked out that way. So I taught high school for a year, and it was literally about the time that takes place in Opioid, Indiana. It's like the exact same time frame. And one of the things that was curious to me about that year was how many school shootings there were. And I just kind of wanted to explore. I don't know what that must have felt like, what life must have felt like to somebody that age. So I think it had to be set in the time for it to work the way that it did, or
Oh,
for it to be. I don't know. It had to be like I wrote that book in like 6 weeks, and I superimposed a lot of what takes place in that book, just from students that I had, their mannerisms, their things they said, their attitudes towards things that were happening in the world. So, yeah, the school shooting portion of that book's not like super huge. There's not a school shooting in it, but they definitely discuss it. And that was very much an entry point to
okay.
that story for me.
Do you think you'd be able to teach yourself?
If I had myself as a student,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Do you think
Yeah, I
you're a
mean,
good teacher?
I take pride in being able to connect with students who are Yeah, I mean, all of them really. I try to meet them all where they were or whatever. But no, yeah, there were plenty of students that I had that reminded me of me in terms of how they treated school and stuff. Um, with that type of student, I don't necessarily know that you're worried about educational outcomes as much as attitudinal outcomes. Um, I wasn't very good at the disciplinary component of it, especially like the disciplinary portions that didn't make sense to me. So, for instance, I had a student come to me one time and he was like, "Hey, Mr. Carr, I need you to do me a favor." I'm like, "Well, what do you need, bud?" And he's like, "I was told they're going to search me in the office. Can I hide my vape pen in your class?" And I was like, "No, but we didn't have this conversation. Go hide it somewhere else. Go throw it away or something." And later on, I was like, "That's probably not the best way to handle that." Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. I didn't like that component of it. I had taught college, most recently for 8 years, and so I'd never had
Dang.
to deal with anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did it for a year. It was all right.
What do you prefer, college or high school?
Oh, college by a mile. I mean, you can tell students not to come back if they're disruptive. So, and not like I had a bunch of disruptive students when I was teaching at the high school level, but like, at the college level, if somebody's acting up, being weird, be like, "Hey man, just how about you take off for today and I'll see you on Wednesday." You can't do that at high school, really. You know what I mean? So it to the detriment of everyone. Like, "Hey man, go wander the halls, walk around." Like,
So,
for real.
did you teach English?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about all these articles coming out saying like students can't read and shit?
I mean, I haven't taught in 6 years, so I don't know. That's always been the gripe, dude. I've never met an English teacher who wasn't like, "Back in when I started, it was better." Like, okay, sure, but like, figure it the fuck out,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and you see more people complaining about like, students using AI to write. I'm like, well, you should be working on assignment schedules. I don't know. A lot of the grievances that people have about teaching, I'm like, you have a pretty fucking easy job. That's a component of it. Figure it the fuck out, especially when professors bitch about it. It's like, your job is to fix that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck do you get paid to do?
Yeah. So when you're in college, you went to journalism. Was there a specific journalist that you wanted to like be like?
Hemingway and Hunter S. Thompson. I mean, I was
Yeah.
studying journalism just to be a fiction writer. I think Hunter S. Thompson had said something like, "Learning to do sports writing teaches you how to write in the active voice." And so I was the sports editor, at my college newspaper. Literally for that reason,
Oh,
because of
for
Hunter
real?
S. Thompson. Yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite Hunter S. Thompson?
I mean, probably Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't really think a lot of his work's that good, to be honest with you. I like him as a icon. I don't know if I love him as an artist. Fear and Loathing is super good. There's some good stuff in The Great Shark Hunt. I don't know. He's real spotty, dude. He's real spotty to me.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever read I think it's called Pulphead?
Pulphead? No.
No, that's a
Mm-mm.
southern.
I read Rum Diaries, which was his only novel, I think, which was
No,
it was all right. It was okay.
Pulphead was written by some other guy from the South called like Jeremiah Sullivan.
Oh, yeah. I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a southern thing too.
Is it Jeremiah Johnson?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I know that guy. He wrote a really cool essay about going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I read Pulphead though. I mean, I'm familiar with the book.
Okay. Are there any other essayists that you like that's like in the South?
No. I'm not really a big essay fan, I'll be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I don't read a bunch of essays, I don't think, personal or otherwise. I don't read a lot of memoir. Not that I'm against them or anything. It's just not what I gravitate toward.
What do you gravitate towards? Fiction?
And usually, I mean, I go through phases. Right now, I've been on like a action adventure kick. So, like, I just finished rereading Treasure Island today. Last week I read Rebecca, or I finished it this week. So good. Read The Count of Monte Cristo. Rebecca's not a action adventure. Um, what else am I kind of been really into recently? Just read Augustina Bastetica's Tender is the Flesh. Yeah, I have real like odd reading habits. There's not usually a real clear cut thesis to why I'm picking up what I'm picking up. Every now and again for a book, like when I wrote Bad Foundations, I reread like Bukowski, Train Spotting. I reread Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I wanted to read like a bunch of those types of books. I wanted to write the type of book that I think I would have dug a little bit after high school, like when I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
And so I read a bunch of the books that I enjoyed, from back then.
And I was reading your X-Ray interview, and you said about Bad Foundations that came out of like an immersive journalism.
Yeah. So when I took the job up here to move up here, I was writing case studies about engineers and but specifically about like engineers who had come up with highly valuable discoveries, and by value I mean like monetary value. So like I wrote a big case study on Eli Otis, who invented the elevator brake. Elevators had been around for a long time, but everybody was afraid of them, and so he invented a brake so that they wouldn't crash. You know what I mean? But like all those engineers were super interested in that because it really changed the dynamic of American cities. Plus, right? So like he sold a bunch of elevator brakes, but then realistically, it kind of made skyscrapers feasible because nobody would take a 100 flight elevator ride. You know what I mean? Like before that. And so I was really into the idea of doing immersive writing, like going and doing something and just kind of writing about it from within. When I wrote Opioid, I did that kind of just by accident, you know what I mean? But so after I wrote Opioid, I was like, well, I'm going to do another one of those kind of immersive journalism style books where I go do something and write a book about it. And I had attempted to write about car sales. So I went and sold cars for a year and a half. And I was going to write a book about that, but I couldn't figure out a way to tell a story that I liked doing it. And then so I did foundation repair sales, and then wrote Bad Foundations.
How does your family respond to like
what I do?
Like you going off and like doing a job and like, I can't figure out a way to write this after working a job for a year? Are they like,
I think as long as I'm making enough money, they don't care. I mean, that's, if I was like, I'm going to go clean eggs at an egg factory or something, and I make, $12 an hour, they'd probably have a bigger issue with it. But so I've always tried to dovetail it with something that, where my earnings are such that like, because I have to be able to take care of my wife and kids and stuff. So whatever game I go play is fine, so long as like, I can still maintain all that.
Is it hard to find a routine after like going and working a job like that? Because you probably find the routine into the job and then like coming out of it.
Nah, I mean, not for me, but like, so when I went to college, I always had a job at the same time too. I had a job in high school and went to school. When I wrote Opioid, I was teaching high school, adjuncting at a community college, and just kind of writing, So no, I'm one of those people who does worse with vast amounts of time.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have like the stress of like, oh, I only have a few hours. You know what I mean? So for me, no. But the longer I work outside of academia, the more I realize why there's so few writers who work outside of academia. I mean, there just kind of are, less and less, because you can't count on academia anymore as a really viable job path. So you start to see more people, I think, who work outside of it. But yeah, I mean, I'd say the bigger thing is it kind of makes you slightly incompatible with the book world. You see things from different vantage points that don't necessarily align with what the book world want to be the truth. And so, I mean, not to get all political about it, but I am less socialist leaning after working in capitalist endeavors than I was before. Not like I'm a capitalist now or anything, but when I taught college, I thought like, oh, I'm one of the good guys. I teach college. Well, I don't know, man. I worked around a lot of people who were higher education teachers, and I don't think they were all like good. You know what I mean? Like, see just as many good people in other walks of life, which it is what it is. But the routine is the routine. It shapes the way you see reality, though, in a way that I don't necessarily think is palatable for the literary world at large.
So you think there's evil people in academia?
I don't think they're good. I don't necessarily know that they're evil, but I don't think that they have some kind of moral high ground. And I don't think that, a car salesperson is any less moral than a university professor.
Sure.
And in fact, when I was selling cars, right, we'd have to like run credit checks on everybody to see whether or not they could get finance for a car. The number one reason people couldn't is because of student loan debt.
Oh, for real?
Oh, for real. 100%. That was the main reason why people would have bad credit, was because of student loan debt.
Wow.
And I don't know how that, right? Like, if a cop is complicit in a negative system because our criminal justice system is messed up, well, then wouldn't a professor be complicit in a system where everybody's credit sucks ass because they had to go to college?
I don't know.
It's to me, it's apples to apples, or at least it's worth asking the question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't think it's the truth either which way, 100% or anything. But I don't even think you're supposed in the literary world. I'm not sure you're supposed to ask that question. You know what I'm saying? I nobody wants to grapple with that. You know what I mean? And so I don't even think they're evil. I don't think they're complicit either. But they're definitely not walking some moral path that's righteous and good for all. You know what I mean? A lot of them know their students are not going to use their degrees for in the way that it was intended, right? Like, a lot of them are going to get bachelor's degrees and work in retail, and professors, they know that. They completely and totally know that. It's not everybody is aware. So in some ways, it's like higher education. It's weird, right? It's like, I deserve this life of like professing. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why do you have 12 classroom hours a week? You know what I mean? If your students aren't reaping the benefits from the investment. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but nothing's as clear cut as people would like it to be.
So what do you think the answer is?
I think most people just do what's best for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they tell themselves stories to make themselves feel better about it. But I think most people just do what benefits them the most.
Would you ever teach like online workshops?
I have. I'm not necessarily the best creative writing teacher because I don't think about craft and stuff. And I don't know, man. To me, writing works best when you have a good amount of information about writing. You've read a bunch of books, but that you kind of keep writing in the place of magical thinking, where you don't necessarily understand, like and some sort of equation that you're, imposing onto a story. You're not like, oh, I'm going to do a 3-part story structure, and here's my hero, and here's my foil, and like, okay, cool, you know what I mean? But so I've taught workshops a little bit. My feedback is probably best at the sentence level in terms of like tone and stuff like that. And then, I like so many books that don't seem to follow rules that I don't know. It's hard for me to explain to somebody in real measurable terms, like what does and doesn't work. Because a lot of times, to me, it's you can't really explain in writing what does and doesn't work. I think the best thing you can do for students in that regard is sort of model the lifestyle and just talk about writing. Teaching writing is different. My favorite classes were composition and rhetoric courses because it was kind of nuts and bolts, real straightforward stuff. Here, like here's some very measurable concepts. Whereas with creative writing or fiction writing or whatever, it's very theoretical, and you get to a point in most disciplines where the theory, I mean, who knows? It's like quantum physics. It's like at some point in time, those guys, they don't know. It's the same with fiction. At some point in time, you don't know why something does or doesn't work. You could try to educate yourself to the point of understanding, but it's kind of a futile endeavor.
You think you should just go, like when you're like writing?
Yeah, I mean,
like
I think
auto writing, kind of.
I don't know, because I outline and stuff like that, and I definitely think about structure and complication and climax and things like that. So no, I think you do have to consider it all. But yeah, I mean, I do think, yeah, there is some element of just go. I mean, I think so. Usually, if I outline a project and I sit down to do that project, I deviate from the outlines significantly. So it's weird. It's like you can have these global ideas, but then the voice kind of dictates where things are supposed to move and opens doors that maybe you wouldn't have thought would have been opened. Yeah, so part of it is just winging it.
So do you have a routine every day?
Not at all. No, I'm more of like I contemplate projects every day. But I'm more of like a binge writer, and like I'll get really excited about a project and I'll just however I carve out time. But no, I don't like have hours that I write. Most of my books I've written like in a laptop in my lap. You know what I mean? I've never even been able to really keep an office set up. I'll set one up every now and again and abandon it almost immediately.
Did you ever write one like in with a notepad and like pencil?
No, not like all the way through. I do like make notes and stuff on paper. And I might write like a couple lines or something, but no, I don't. I've never written completely by hand. I type so much faster than I write by hand, that typically, and when I'm writing, I like to get things out pretty quickly. It allows me to stay true to the cadences. The faster I can put it down, the more likely it was similar to my thoughts. And then go back and clean.
How'd you meet Autumn Christian? Because she seems like a good friend of yours.
She's cool as hell. We've known each other a long time, and we met at a Bizarro Con in like 2011 or 2012, I think. Yeah, she's cool as hell. I love her.
How'd you end up there at a Bizarro Con?
I had done a book with Lazy Fascist Press called Motherfucking Sharks, and Cameron was the editor of Lazy Fascist. And Lazy Fascist was incorporated with a press called Racerhead, which was like a Bizarro press. And he asked me to come out. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And
then, the one Lazy Fascist title I have is the Sean Kilpatrick one.
Oh, yeah. He did some books with them. Blake Butler, I think, he and Sean Kilpatrick did a book together. Anatomy Corpses, maybe? Anatomy something. Yeah, man. So, and Cameron had published Sam Pink and Scott McClanahan, but he also published writers like Stephen Graham Jones. It was a nice mix. Cameron and I vibed real good. We thought similarly about writing, where it was supposed to be artistically underpinned, but there was we were both fans of Jim Thompson. We liked the ideas of writing books on prompts. We thought that was fun. I still do, you know. So like he actually, Motherfucking Sharks was a prompt. Like he's like, hey, would you write me a book called Motherfucking Sharks? I was like, absolutely.
Are you gonna republish it?
Yeah, it's coming back out with Clash in December.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was that talk?
How was
like communicating that you wanted to republish it?
They knew that, well, because Lazy Fascist like went to bed. Cameron put that one to bed. Oh, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now, something like that. And so Christoph, I actually also met at a Bizarro Con because he was something of a Bizarro writer.
How many Bizarro Cons did you go to?
3 or 4.
Okay. Are you considered part of that canon?
I don't know. I mean, I don't. Would they? I'm not sure. I mean, so it's different. Like with the Lazy Fascist books, there was some overlap, but there was definitely a different camp. You know what I'm saying? I like a lot of those writers. They're really cool. I like what they established. But no, I mean, I'm not really part of any group.
You don't think you're alt-lit?
No. No. I mean, I like a lot of alt-lit writers, but no, I was never really a part of that group either. Adjacent to them, maybe just because Scott had published my second book, and I like Scott a lot. Though I don't really think of Scott or Blake as alt-lit writers, to be honest with you. There's some similarities and there's definitely overlap, but no, definitely not alt-lit. No, and neither Bizarro. I mean, I don't think of myself as being either one of those camps.
Do you think Autumn is alt-lit?
No. No, and I don't think she's Bizarro either. I think she's kind of a horror writer. She's her own little beast too, man, right? Because she pisses a lot of people off. And I don't think there's a camp that would claim her. And not like they disrespect her writing or anything like that. It's just that she's her own beast down there in Oklahoma. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. If I did an event with her where she like said her opinions, would you be a part of it? Like a panel or something online?
Oh yeah. And we wouldn't agree on everything or nothing, but we'd agree on a lot, I'm sure. Yeah, no, I like Autumn a lot. Autumn, Christoph, myself, a lot of the people that bled over to Clash. We have a similar aesthetic in that we don't disparage commercial fiction. Like, I don't have any issue with commercial fiction whatsoever. I also tend to like literary stuff more, but I like horror and I like weird things, and so I'm not sure, what Autumn and I wouldn't agree on, but I bet it'd be a decent amount. I agree with Christoph on a lot of stuff, but we don't agree on everything.
So is it a choice not to disparage commercial fiction? Do you think that's a popular thing to do?
It seems. It's not a choice for me. It's just that, like, I don't know. I like some of those books, man. Like, and I like a lot of the pulp writers, who kind of worked in noir and stuff like that. Again, Jim Thompson, I love, and he was writing, pulp books, and some of them were artistic and some of them weren't as much. And but I never found that there was like, I never thought that it was in conflict. It's different vibes, but I know a lot of people like to make books like in conflict with other books, and it's aesthetics don't have to be a war. You know what I'm saying? They can exist independently.
When you're in Bizarro Con, was there anything that was like, this is too weird for me? I need to get.
I mean, yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, and when I'm around alt-lit people, I'm like, this is too snobby for me. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, oh fuck yeah, dude. They acted the same way. They just dress differently. Mm-hmm. Like they're so similar. It's each of them, man. If you go hang out with any of the little camps, it's like being at fucking high school, dude. Like, and there are these little hierarchies, and you're supposed to pay attention to them or whatever. But no, I mean, the horror kind of scene, whether it be Bizarro or whatever, straight horror, splatterpunk or whatever, those writers care a lot more about getting paid for their books and their writing, and which is weird because they dress sloppier, but they care more about getting paid. and with the lit writers, man, they dress clean as shit, and they think money's like a bad thing. I'm not really sure. Nobody cares if you don't pay them for a lit book. But other than that, their sentences are a little different. You couldn't take a lit kid and put him at Bizarro Con and him be cool. You couldn't take a Bizarro writer and put him at a lit event and then be cool. But it's kind of just the same.
Sure. Yeah. I like that comparison. Did you ever think about making a magazine?
I used to work on a thing called Dark Sky, which was like a web magazine, and we published books too. And then Kevin Murphy, who I ran it with, got a job with Melville House. And so when he got the job with Melville House, we put Dark Sky to bed. It's just so much work. It's a lot of work. But we published really cool books. We did a Michael Bible book. We did a Jensen Beach book, a Ryan Ridge book. Ethel Rohan, a lot of really cool books.
You did a press. You did like a fucking press.
Yeah, it was a magazine too. It was like an online magazine, but rather than doing print issues, we did books. It was a lot of work. And it's not, like sometimes, presses go out of business and people get all mad about it. I'm like, dude, do you realize how much work those people were doing for like negligible fucking reward? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, you'll hear people bitch about like, oh, press folded and they owe me $30. Like, how about you go fuck yourself? It's like, shut the fuck up, $30. What are you talking?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And I'm not so intrigued by power that the work is worth it for me, or influence or whatever it is. I don't need to see my fingerprints on stuff to be a happy guy.
Mm-hmm. So do you like the model Zona's doing?
For me, it works real good because outside of the main editors, it's kind of, we all kind of do stuff, but it's not like an immense amount of work. Like
you can come in and go do something else.
Yeah, like, hey, I got this review. We should run it. What do you think? Cool, let's go. So people will email me on stuff, or if I feel like writing an essay, or if I want to set up an interview, do an interview, whatever. But it doesn't feel like they're not like, hey, it's Thursday, we need this thing from you. You know what I mean? Which I think was kind of Juliet and Misha's idea, was like, if we make it so it's not like just a ton of work for anybody, people will be more invested in it and do it for longer. And they're right. I mean, because it's a lot of work even just to read somebody's book reviews or to set up an interview. I mean, it can take, several hours, and it's not like, I mean, you're doing it because you love it and stuff. You're not doing it for the money, you know what I mean? But it does take time. And so I think their model that they're going with works pretty good.
What do you like about Substack?
I don't know. I haven't. The jury's out. You know what I mean? On how much I like Substack. The thing about like all the social medias is it's weird. They change the way you think. Yeah. And they just do. You know what I mean? Like, so with Twitter, it's like, oh, should I tweet this? Like something like, should I take a picture of that and put that online? So you like, all of them make you think through this bizarre filter of like, should I translate this segment of my real life into this digital world? Some people are really good at it, I think, because they appreciate the attention that they get from social media. I've never like, I had a post like get a lot of engagement and being like, fuck yeah, I'm always like, oh, weird. You know what I mean? Like, but also I'm older, you know what I mean? Like it's Could be that. Could just be my disposition. But I do like that it's mainly just kind of writers. So like with X or whatever, when writers are on that, they'll talk about like, just all kinds of stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, I don't know that you know about that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure that you should be weighing in. And with Substack, less likely that people weigh in on, geopolitical stuff or taxes or, yeah. Plus, like, I'm cantankerous, if I see somebody post something that I think is, like, what are you talking about? Like, I'll do that.
Like Talon.
Well, when he was a manatee.
Yeah.
I like Tal. Oh, well, I respect him as a writer. He's clearly an interesting artist. I don't think he used to be a manatee. I guess that's not I shouldn't weigh in on that. If he used to be a manatee, fine.
You think he's just fucking with people though?
I can't tell. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I
don't either.
He seems pretty performative to me. He always has. I mean, I've been around him for him. Like I've never met him, never really interacted with him, but I've known. I mean, I've been doing this since 2008. He was already doing it too. So I don't know. I'm not a. I don't. I respect him. He annoys me. That's a lot of people though. I respect and just don't like. It's weird. Like people think that that's not possible. It's like how? Like yeah, I fucking respect you, but you fucking suck. I don't know.
Aren't you friends with Elizabeth Allen?
Yeah, she's cool. We actually haven't talked in a long time. I'm kind of worried she's mad at me.
Or you should just like email her and she'll email you back.
I don't think so. We used to text a lot. I haven't texted her in a while. I think I emailed her not too long ago. We got the phases. I've known her for 15 years or something. And there will be moments like years where we'll talk a lot and then years where we don't. So, but yeah, we're buddies. Unless she's mad at me. Huh?
How'd you meet her?
Hobart. Through Hobart. They published a couple of my stories and then again at an AWP. Probably the first one I went to, what the hell would that have been? Chicago in like 2008 or 2009 or no shit. Maybe 11, maybe 2011.
So that's when Aaron's running it?
They were still married and Aaron was running the magazine and the website more so, and Elizabeth was doing the books more so. And then at some point they updated the website. And then they both kind of had a hand in both the website and the books. And then they got divorced and they were still doing it. And then the Alex Pettis essay came out and they split up the magazine.
Yeah. Were you ever going to be published by them?
In book form?
Yeah.
No, Elizabeth and I talked about it a little bit, but we didn't pursue it very far. No, I don't think so. I don't think I fit quite right with their book aesthetic. But yeah, no, I mean, at a point in time, it would have been awesome, but like probably after the Lazy Fascist books, it didn't make any sense.
What about Tyrant? Were you ever going to publish with them?
No, though Gian was supposed to look at a book I did called Sip. I was like, hey man, can I send you this book? And he's like, yeah, send it. And then I ended up selling it to Soho. And I was like, hey man, I'm not sending that anymore. I sold it to Soho. And he was like, well, fuck you. Nah, but he's just joking. He was joking. I communicated with him a bit, but I met him one time in person. We weren't like tight or nothing. But a good dude. It was cool. It was a cool guy.
So we've been going about an hour. I'm going to steal a question that Dempsey always asks. What book do you think is like underrated or like more people should be reading? He's going to hate me for stealing this.
Recent or old?
Any book.
Ironweed, though it won a Pulitzer, but I don't see a lot of people talking about that book by William Kennedy. It's one that I can reread quite often. It's actually funny. It beat another book called The Feud, which is also a book that I think doesn't get enough love. Though The Feud was picked by the jury, and then the judge, the head ups were like, "Fuck it, we're giving it to Ironweed." But Ironweed's pretty great. It's set in Buffalo. It's like about a homeless alcoholic who has like accidentally killed one of his babies like years before. Had a few beers and was changing its diaper and dropped it and it died. And he's kind of haunted, and there's all these like ghosts in it and stuff. So it's a realist book, but like it's got a magical realism underpinning. And William Kennedy had written the New York Times review for 100 Years of Solitude, and he lifted the concept of ghosts from Marquez wearing like ghosts age. Like he had never seen ghosts age, and so like in Ironweed, his ghosts like they do stuff still, like they have chores and crap, and they've aged and things like that. But that's a pretty good one that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. Another one, real quick, is called "And the Earth Did Not Devour Him," which was written by a Mexican American writer from South Texas. Again, similarly, kind of got a magical realism sort of thing going on, but it's about a migrant farm worker who's a kid, traveling around with his family picking beets and stuff like that. But there's all these kind of like ghost stories and stuff embedded in it as well. Both those books are pretty rad.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, dude. Appreciate you having me, man.
No
Take
problem.
care.
See you.
Later.